Right, here we are again, 1st of October 2022. Off to FULLYS Lake in France. It's a 4-hour trip from Calais down in a place called Braine-l'Alleud, just probably an hour past Reims. So we're not touching Paris at all this time, we're not going around it, we're not going through it. We're going east across towards Switzerland, like I said, 4-hour journey. 26 acre lake, very weedy, gin clear, loads of clear spots. Quite new to angling lines who I go with, and so looking forward to this one because it's like a new lake. So this being my third one this year, I think my 6th or 7th trip in 14 months. So only difference on this trip is using house boilers rather. I've got a few of my own, but mainly using the boilers from the lake. Still using particle, maize and hemp. Got some tiny pellets, got some mouse pellets. Rowing boat with outboard motor to find your spots. Owner's gonna meet us there, show us the ropes like they normally do, give you advice on the lake. So yeah, looking forward to it. I've got a bloody 2.5 hour wait for the crossing, because normally you come early, you can get on the crossing before you book in. Because I got an email from the lake owner, you're not really due allowed on the lake until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like say some do the draws, some you book your swim. I booked my swim, but it's still 1 o'clock arrival. So my original booking was 4 in the morning, get across about 5:30, 6:30 their time, get there comfortable, 10:30, 11, go to the shop, etc. But the ferry got cancelled, so I changed it to, I think it was 3 o'clock. And then I got an email from the owner, said no one's on that swim, so I can arrive when I want. So straight away, got down here early thinking get to a +1 crossing, and it's cancelled. So I've got a 2.5 hour wait, but so is everyone, they're all in the same boat. So this looks like a packed ferry, this one, because obviously the 140, everyone's here for that, and that's been cancelled. Yeah, buzzing as always. Really bad weather in England now. That really good summer we had is obviously over. Autumn set in, feels like winter. But we know the French climate is slightly different, so it's going to be slightly warmer. Showing rain today on my setup. How heavy, I don't know, but I'll just get some waterproofs on, get that out of the way. Once that's out of the way, cut a little bit of light showers tomorrow on a Sunday, then clear all week with temperatures averaging around about 18, 19 degrees. Hopefully not too cold at night, but I'm backed up for that, like you see in my other videos. So I'll do a lot of filming of the lake this one. I won't babble on too much on this video. A lot of people might like me babbling on, but I'll try and concentrate on more footage of the lake and the situations rather than me giving my input in, because I've done that. I'll go over what rigs I'm using and the bait. I'll show you the house bait and obviously the setup, the lake, the facilities. So once again, if anyone thinks about going to the lake when they see a video, which I've done, I've watched videos and I thought I'll try that, and I have. So it does work, and obviously I like watching the videos before I go to get the buzz, get into it. And but what else can you do? Pull up at the ferry, drive down the French roads, turn up at the lake. You know, it is nice to see that, I feel, on the video anyway. So I'm going to cut my introduction down. Like I said, I don't want to go on too much I'm gonna keep. I'll do a lot of filming, but I'll keep it all short and brief each section so it doesn't waver on. Okay.
Avec cette enquête sur les technoflottes de SUV, ces activistes qui mettent des centaines de 4x4 sur la jante, des voitures trop, on commence, je vais tout de suite.
RTL matin. Un message de Paul de temps avec le froid qui arrive, le chauffage risque de coûter cher. Chez Castorama, c'est l'opération économie d'énergie et ils ont des solutions. Par exemple, le radiateur électrique Cisco 1000 watts avec des...
Bonjour.
Constant,
Hello, Constant.
nice to meet you.
Ryan. Swim 5. Yeah.
Driving okay?
Yeah.
Long?
So it's always long, you know.
Yeah,
But-
I'm tired.
Yeah. I've been working hard, so no worries.
So swim 5 is second
Yeah,
swim,
just the other side of the tree.
and I go seeing that customer first.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll let you go and I come to you.
Because I've got a big setup.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Right, it's now Sunday. I think it's about 11 AM. So I'm just going to show you the lake today. Really windy. Rain throughout the night. Here's my setup. You're quite up from the banks here for the simple reason I don't want to go no closer. The crayfish just come up like German soldiers. This next person swim. There was someone there, but they've gone today, so. Right, my first fish last night. I think it was 4 AM. £28 mirror. Screaming take, and 2 other takes which just went silent. So I've had 3 pickups altogether in the first 18 hours, to be fair. There's the lake. So what I've done, I've gone out in the boat, I've gone out with the camera, and I'm fishing here, which was the lake owner's recommendation, halfway across. It's the shelf goes down. He said all the big fish come from here. He said don't even bother doing margins because the water level's too low. So many crayfish. I'll show you one when I see you sitting down there. Yeah, I've seen them, but not in this abundance. There's so many of them, and they come up the bank. I caught one just earlier, just shot my bivvy. There, look, buddy. Horrible. But they are literally all down the banks, coming all the way up and then finding their way all the way up there. So you just have to scoop them back in the water. Quite aggressive to be fair, they're spitting something out. And then, so I'll set up right back. Usual on the other tubes, on the other videos you've seen the setup. So this time, just sorting all my bait out for the week. So I'm baiting heavy, which has worked so far. Roast dinner today. So there we are, Sunday afternoon. Right, after all that hard work, changing tactics and everything, we're starting to produce the fish, one after run. But now we're starting to go out in the boat to land them because that shelf behind me is murder. So, changed all the rod tactics. As soon as I get the bite, I strike into it, straight in the boat. Get out to the middle of the lake, over that shelf, and then we land them off the boat. It's hard work, but they're your rewards. Fully lake, fully scoured mirrors. Look at that. Beautiful. The rewards, the hard work you put into that to get that fish makes it so rewarding. Right, it's 1:30, Tuesday. Learned a lot over the last few days. When the owner come round and he told me to basically go further out, which I did. And he also gave me another boat. Now I don't know if I mentioned this on yesterday's video, so obviously when I put them up there might be a few repeating. So what he's told me to do is to bait at round about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then leave them, absolutely leave them until the same time tomorrow, 24 hours, obviously unless you get a fish, and obviously rebait that rod. So done exactly what he said, and had a run within the hour of rebaiting, exactly on the spots he told me to go on. Now I lost that fish. So I'm thinking, right, what do I put that down to? Lead weight, didn't strike it hard enough, lost it in a snag. Now he's told me there's a shelf there, and what I have found out since, which I'll tell you in a minute because I've recently lost another 2 fish. There's a lot of mussels out there, and obviously with my time fishing I haven't really come across this. I've come across some snags and some sharp rocks and everything, but normally the tackle I use is held up to all my situations. So I'll just show you today's weather. I told you this week could be all very nice up until Saturday, which it's proving so. So the weather forecast is spot on. No one else to the left or right of me have caught at all. Even though they're echo sounding, got all the equipment going out in the boats, they haven't caught. So far I've had the luxury of having one fish. So 8 o'clock this morning, really I got up obviously to watch the water. Really murky, fog, nice sort of like cold morning. And my rod went again, 8 o'clock, screamed off. Struck into it, felt it on there, 5 minutes, gone. And that cut my line got cut, so that got cut on, which I know now is a load of mussels. About an hour later, next rod, bang, went, same again. So I had 3 takes on exactly what he told me to do. I'd done it, had 3 runs, but didn't pull a fish in. So now I've obviously extended my setup, which, like I said, I've never had to do. So what I've done, I've used a 50 pound leader as such on the last sort of 10-15 metres, and then retied all my rigs. I've got one on a Helichod 360, and he's let me use lead core on that, so I've done a very long lead core length, and we'll see how that goes. And that should get over the final snagging. Now I totally understand why you need a boat. So what my approach is going to be now, as soon as I get a run, I'm going to strike it. Once I feel that fish, I'm going to leave it and I'm going to get in the boat. And I'm going to row out, so I know that fish is hooked by a strong, pull back on the rod. And then I'm going to get in the boat, and then I'm going to go out and just keep a line, just absolutely. I'm not going to feel no pressure on that fish until I'm sort of like fair distance out, and then I can start playing it from down rather than across the bottom, where these mussels are just cutting the line. So I'm pretty new to this, not new to carp fishing, but new to situations I've never dealt with before. So if anyone says, well, you should be up to this, well, I'm not, because I haven't finished a lake where I've had this problem. So I'm dealing with it and I'm learning. So, if I'd have known, if I'd have fished it before, I'd have probably been into 6 fish now. So I've had 5 runs and 6 runs, bought one in. But the one I bought in, I was only fishing out not too far, probably about 65 yards here, so that came in easily. But where I'm getting all the takes from, that area there, and I would probably say about 120 metres, which is just over halfway, which he said is fine. I'm getting all the takes from that, but there's a shelf there, and obviously I'm just beyond that, and it's a problem. So I've got to deal with that. What I can do is I can fish shorter, hope for the best, or I can fish where I know they're taking it, which is what they are at the moment. So that's the situation so far. So all the rods have redone, all armoured up to deal with that situation, and I've already had a knock on this rod here. It's only been out an hour, but listening to him and dropping a boat exactly where he's told me to, he's producing runs and knocks, so I know they're there. And like I said, for the last 3 days I've just seen them turning out here, nowhere else on the lake but here. And I've got 1, 2, 3 there and 1 here. So let's see how it goes. This is going to be a hard picture to take. £22 that one. They're getting bigger, but they're getting more frequent. Yeah, I love the hard work it takes to catch these fish. It's not easy.
Look, he had fish. You think, but it is a bream, a snotty. No, joking. No. I am sailing. You have to help? No, Nico. Don't help. Not my problem.
Into the bigger fish. So it is now 3:30 p.m. and we are in, I haven't weighed it yet, but I'm guessing it's about 36. Yeah, about 30, 36. Let's turn it on. Constant said to me, leave your rods from 3 till 3. And I did. And at 3:30, half hour over the mark. Sweet. Thank you. $36. Exactly what I said.
Ounce? 36 ounce?
36 pounder. Do I know my weights or what? Right, I just feel I need to do this, chat. It's Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. and I did struggle for the first 3 days. Basically fishing how I normally would. When people say go to France and just fish how you normally would fish, I would now say take that out of the rule book, because it's all about understanding the lake and fishing to that lake's capabilities. Now, yes, I had a fish on the first night which I thought great, but that was a bit of a deterrent because that really swung me, because I stayed as I was, and I shouldn't have done. I should have got a bit more info on the lake. So it took me 3 days to fish how this lake fishes. And the main factor is I had to change all my rods to like the heavy mono snag leaders, about 20 metres of snag leader on every rod, to overcome the mussels and the sharp snags. And then also the baiting approach. I had a lengthy talk with the owner, and he basically said I was fishing too short. Now I normally fish on a French water, depending obviously what distance you've got, but the halfway point of that lake is about 120 metres, and I was only fishing at 85. So he said to me, go the full half distance, go the full 120. Doesn't matter if you're just over, because you're never going to be exactly with the opposite fisherman, and I have got a fisherman who's opposite. he said, and go to the left towards the island. So he gave me that advice, and he also basically said, change your... He asked me, he said, but when do you do your rods? I said, well, religiously, I do my rods about 10, 11 in the morning, and then I redo them around about 6:30, 7 o'clock, ready for the evening. He said to me, don't do that. He said, bait up 3 o'clock, 3 p.m, redo your rods. And then that gives it time for the lake to settle, and everybody is pretty much doing the same. That lake is so calm with no disturbance now for 24 hours. Don't change your rods for 24 hours, he said. I took his advice, and since his advice I've had 3 fish. So yeah, I've only had 4 fish, but I do feel I've lost the first 3 days through my lack of knowledge on the lake. Not my lack of fishing, but my lack of conditions and what this lake requires. So I've just, which I'll put up, I've just struck in to a 36-pound mirror. Now that was only half an hour over the 3 o'clock time slot he told me to rebait. And I'm doing some cooking, and I thought, well, I'll change the rods in a minute. And I still had 1 rod left because I changed all my snag leaders. And I still had 1 rod left which I hadn't brought in. And that was a 3:30, bang, it went. And the fish are getting bigger. They're getting bigger and bigger. So I just cannot emphasise enough that when you come abroad, we learn. Every time we fish, we learn something, and more importantly, come to a lake, try and get that info out of the owner early on, because I pretty much turned up the first day, said, yeah, I know what I'm doing, yeah, blah, 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 trying to say, yeah, I'm experienced and everything like that. And I've been fishing for years, but I don't know the lake. So on the 3rd day, he said, how you doing? He texts you every evening and morning, how you doing, how you doing. And he gives you little bits of advice. But on that 3rd day, because obviously he's busy, he's got a couple of other lakes, and when he come round and we had a lengthy half-hour chat, stood on the waters, and his advice, you know, it was like gold dust, because now the confidence levels are so high. I've just done all the rods now. Like I said, it's up past 4, but I had that fish, but all the rods were done just before 3 o'clock. And they'll stay now. They'll stay now right through the evening, all through the morning till 3 o'clock tomorrow. And I will leave them, because I don't fish at 3:30. I'll probably leave them till about 3:30. I'll probably start my first rod change on 3 o'clock. And yeah, and the sun's out. It's like a summer's day now. The weather was spot on. It said it was raining Saturday and Sunday when I was setting up, which was right. And yeah, 18 degrees, 20 degrees for the next 5 days, and it's like summer. But we're in a transition. They're feeding, you know, and I'm not baiting on a whole area and fishing on it. You know, I'm sending the boat out. I know the area I want, and I've marked the line up. But I'm baiting on an area which I've gone out and you know, and I've set my camera down, and pretty much, like I said earlier, there's a shelf. So I'm just fishing beyond this shelf, and my boat distance is just taking me beyond that shelf, and I'm dropping, and I'm randomly dropping each time I go out, and that is working for me. So yeah, I just felt that I had to put that in, that listen to these owners, because he's only a young lad, he's only 30 years old, but he does know his stuff. There's a lot of mussels out there, there's a lot of sharp snags, and these mussels, he said, there's millions of mussels, and they just cut your line. And I've never had that, you know. I've fished mainly on mud and silt and gravel, and even though it's flat, but you've got that shelf, even on the flat parts, the mussels are just cutting the line. So you've got to be beyond that 20 metres on your main line, straight onto your, you know, your heavy mono. 50 pound I'm using, I think it was, yeah. So another tip, but me end rigs are exactly the same. IQD rig on a wafter. I'm doing a heli chod rig on a Ronnie rig. So the end tackle's the same, but your fishing conditions, obviously, I've had to beef up. No difference when you go on a lot of lakes when they say you can use braid. You know, on a situation like this lake, I would say, yeah, now I know if I come back here, you just change all your reels, and he will let you use braid. But I still put the sink tube on the last meter, obviously for the fish safety, because they're fully scaled, and the scales on these fish in this lake, we was having a chat on massive scales, and so obviously you need that end meter to be as kind to the fish as possible. So we're doing everything we can, and yeah, it looks good. I've got tonight, Big Fish Thursday, Friday, home Saturday, so I've still got a good 36 hours. My goal when I come out was on a new lake. I'd like to be a little bit optimistic and say 7 fish. I'm into 4, and to be fair, if I'd have knew the conditions, I've lost 5. I would have been above my target. If I'd have come out here knowing exactly what I know sitting here now on the Wednesday, I would have landed every fish what run. So I would have been on 9 fish. But that's fishing, and that's a learning process, and that's why when we get home we can't make it go again. And you all understand that. Anyway, thanks. Okay.
Yeah. Right, last day being a Friday. The owner's here with me. It's 11:30 AM. Just as he said, leave the rods out for 24 hours. We're about 3 hours in before we was going to do the rod change. And we're into a ghosty. Haven't weighed it yet. Not ready. About 20 pound. Not a lot of people's cup of tea. French like them. Okay. Right, I'm going to summarise the week here at FULLYS Lake. It's now about 7:30 PM. Just starting to get dark, so rods are out for the last evening. Managed to land 5 fish, lost 5 due to not knowing about the conditions of the lake bottom, which I tried to get before I come, but I had no response. So that was a bit sickening really, because it took me till the Wednesday to get hold of some snag leaders, because it was just cutting my lines and I wasn't prepared for it. So as I mentioned earlier, I had to change things, and when people say go to France, fish as you normally would, maybe on your rigs, but on your line and tactics, I had to change. I had no choice. And then I eventually ended up with 5 fish. But what threw me was I had a fish on my first night, everything was fine, landed it on the bank. It was only 18 pound. But then every fish after that, up until the Wednesday, I was just losing on the mussels. Just cutting my lines off. So that was a bit, yeah, that was a bit saddening. And also I was misinformed, because when I booked the trip, which wasn't the owner's fault, but on the site, when I booked, it said you had charging points and fridge and freezer, and you haven't got that. All you've got is a shower, which is pumped lake water, warmed up, which is okay. I did say to him it really needs upgrading. You needed somewhere to put your clothes. You just got a bare room, and even got a chair or nothing. So taking that holiday aspect away from the fishing itself on the lake, there's some good specimen in here. I managed to get up to £36. Nothing bigger, I was hoping, but I had 5 good fish, and most of them, I think 4 of them was landed out on the boat, apart from the one on the first night, which totally threw me. Like I said, I was lucky to get that in, and then I just thought, oh, this ain't too bad, I'm going to get plenty of fish here. But it wasn't the case, so I had to really work at it, and the hard work got a few rewards off of it. One other thing I'd say is like, there's a lot of weed in the summer, and he said, and that's mainly gone now in the like first part of the autumn, and the crayfish tend to come to all the margins, because basically I asked him, you know, what's the margin fishing like? He said, you know, stay to the middle. It's where the fish will be, and that's where the fish were. He said, and all the crayfish are on the margins, hundreds and hundreds of them. And I did wake one night with crayfish in my bivvy, getting under, because with the ridge monkey, which I've got, you can only velcro the ground sheet onto the outhouse, and they got in, and they was in the middle of my fucking bivvy, and that was quite scary. And then all up the bank. Last couple of days haven't seen none, they're all in the water. But when you use your boat, as soon as you move your boat, hundreds and hundreds of them scatter everywhere. So if you don't like crayfish, this lake ain't for you, because you will come across loads of them. But as a fishing lake, it's well run by a brilliant owner, a young lad, about 30 years old. Really knows his stuff, really looks after the lake itself. He makes sure you fish him properly, and he gives you as much advice as he can, apart from the waiting 3 days to know about the snag leaders, which he apologised for, but it ain't going to affect my feedback on the lake. It's good fishing. Give you an example, there was one Dutch guy next to me. He was here for, I think he was here for five, maybe 6 nights. He left this morning. He only had 1 fish. Got 2 French guys down here. They had 4 fish. Last count this morning, 4 fish. I've had 5 fish, and the geezer over on the opposite side of me, he had, I think he's up to 8 fish. I know he definitely had 5 or 6. And I think he's had a couple since. There's new people turned up for the week on the Fridays. Load of French people, said hello to them. Just young lads. I think they're like first timers. So just said to them, just keep your eye on your lake, you'll see them crashing out. But where they was all crashing over the last few days, the guy opposite, it was in his, just on the border of his area. So I couldn't get to him. I had to fish just off of him. So I had most of my fish there, and he was getting them off. They were just crashing on one spot all week. But it's a nice lake. It's a nice lake. Would I come again? I always try and say this. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. If it had better amenities, and you have to, like I said, you have to bank right up off, you have to bivvy up right up the top of the bank. You can't be comfortable like you normally would be in your swim with your rods in front of you or anything. You can't. You have to be right up the bank because of the crayfish. I don't know what that's like in the summer, but this time of year. So it wouldn't actually put me off, but I just have to come more prepared. You know, now I've been here, I should have had all that info beforehand. Should have had, especially when you're coming out here for a week. It's a 4-hour drive. It's 264 miles. Should have it all, but I never. So I had to get on with it. You know, I make a few inquiries when I'm home why that wasn't the case. Miscommunication with the owner and the holiday company, you know, but it affects you because a lot of my food went off. I couldn't put it in the fridge, couldn't put it in the freezer. I had to keep going down the shop and just getting ice, which ain't ideal. So yeah, that was the most disappointing part. But I've got one more night's fishing, so hopefully if I catch another one I'll update, but if not I'll pretty much wrap up the footage now. It's going to be dark in about 5-10 minutes, so I'm going to watch a film, get my head down, up early in the morning. I've packed all my big stuff down. I've just got a little 2-man bivvy which I always bring for the last night, so my van's absolutely full. Get up in the morning, just bed away, take the little bivvy down, have a shower, off I go. Try and find a McDonald's on the way home as normal, because after I haven't really ate well because of the situation with the food and the fridge and the freezer. So I'm starving. So anyway, catch you later.